Hello and welcome. My name is Mark Blatstein, the physician founder of Physician Pre-Sentence Report Service. You can see it right up here. Phone number 240-888-7778 and my email, drmb@pprsus.com. So this YouTube is going to be about if you're able to self-surrender and you want the process to go as smooth as possible. But I'm going to preface it by showing you that if you've been indicted, you're facing prison, you really don't want to give up because life's not over. Prison is temporary. I know it's easy for me to say, but I was indicted in 2006, but I was able in 2010 to get my medical license reinstated. And so it's a new website, so I'm showing it off, and it's a lot easier to navigate. But I'm coming down here because I want you, if you're willing, to go to the first page, Admiral McCraven, and this is about a 12-minute video, and it's an inspiring video that he gave a speech to those who are graduating Marines, and it's lessons for them, but it's really lessons for all of us. And he reviews leaders from Mandela that we're all familiar with, to a young girl in Pakistan, Malala, who gets shot just for going to school on a school bus. And so, while we're all having challenging events, I don't know that it compares to what they're going through. And so with that being said, let me go up to this. At the bottom is where all of my YouTube links are. And here is planning to self-surrender. And I already have it pulled up over here. We all remember President Reagan, trust but verify. And so you don't want to assume that if you're self-surrendering that your paperwork is there. And I know your attorney is going to say, and other consultants are going to say that everything's done electronically. Don't worry about it. Well, guess what? I'm going to explain to you that a couple of things here, but let's go forward. Inspect what you expect. Don't assume that you're going to have a smooth process. And I've already gone through with you. Prison's temporary, and it could be where you spend time. You can reinvent yourself. And this gentleman, Andre Norman, his impossible dream. He went from a maximum security prison to Harvard University. Pretty crazy. But I'm going to go through now a series of events. You want to verify with all parties before you self-surrender that the facilities received all the required judge's orders before you get there. Well, guess what? If you arrive before the judge's orders, no matter how rare that may be, you may find yourself being placed in solitary confinement because they're not going to let you go home. And guess what? It doesn't happen. It did happen to me. All right. And there are many lessons here. One of them is that if you want to go to trial or you want to appeal an indictment or appeal a sentence, or appeal anything, ask your attorney how many they won. We asked, after the judge said they didn't want to see me back in the courtroom again, we asked if we could appeal the indictment. And the judge said, sure, I appealed the indictment. Well, guess what? I got out of the first prison camp. I went home, appealed the indictment. I had to go back to prison. And so when I got there, they didn't have my paperwork. They put me in solitary confinement. I mean, that's a whole nother story that I can explain to you in a conversation. But if we prepared you, your orders will be there, and you will have books that you can send to you that will help take the edge off, because you could be there for several days to several weeks. My situation was, they just thought I was an upset, crazy white boy. And I kept banging on the door, but I digress. If you're ultimately designated to a satellite camp, as opposed to a freestanding prison camp, satellite camps are adjacent to higher security facilities, which means that you have to present yourself to the higher security facility. You can't just present yourself to the satellite camp. So know ahead of time that you're going to see prisoners in handcuffs, shackles, guards with long guns, guard towers, etc. So being prepared is essential. This is not a time for surprises because people deal with emotional aspects of prison. Everybody deals with this in their own way, especially if it's your first time. When I presented, my first camp I went to was a freestanding camp, and I thought it was horrible. When I had to go back after my appeal failed, I went to a satellite camp, and then I had presented to the satellite camp. They didn't let me present there. I had to go down to the medium. Then I saw, what a real prison camp looked like. It wasn't funny. It was the real deal. Once inside, you're going to be screened, given a change of clothes. All these peripherals you came with are going to be boxed up and mailed back to your legal residence. You're going to have to squats and strip and cough, etc. The copies of your birth certificate, passport, driver's license, social security card, these are all going to be returned to you when you're released. If you store the original somewhere, try and remember, or at least make a note someplace at home who has them and where they are. What you shouldn't do when you're there. People make alcohol there. Don't take any. Don't drugs. No gambling. No sex with inmates or staff. When you first arrive, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I mean, I kept a very low profile. Let's understand the prison world before you go ahead and decide to interact with it. Look for someone who's kind of like yourself. Don't chit chat with guards. You don't want to be an informant. You don't want to use anyone's cell phone. I mean, you may be tempted, you may be lonely, you may be on lockdown, but eventually they'll find that phone. And if a phone number on that phone is as similar to a number on your contact list, you're going to have a problem. You'll be apprehensive at first. Emails and all letters, emails, all calls are monitored. Emails and letters are read. Never do a three-way phone call from the the phone system in a prison. If you're calling home and someone says, hey, let's connect you to your attorney and we'll do a three-way call, don't do it. You'll get another charge. Don't use anyone else's medications. The TV room is usually under somebody else's control. Don't change the channel. I mean, in prison, respect is $100 word. And so don't disrespect somebody else by changing the channel. Don't disrespect somebody by getting in front of them in line, by sitting on a butt on someone else's bed before you ask permission. Be respectful to other inmates' personal space. Be aware that banks or other distant investment companies, mortgage houses, loan companies may elect to just close your accounts if you have, different types of criminal charges. Maybe it was a financial crime. Be sure to have someone that you trust notarized as your power of attorney. It could also be your emergency contact if something happens to you in prison. Start looking for local smaller banks. If in fact, even if you don't have, a high profile financial crime, you may want to, open up smaller local banks where you could open up accounts. And if someone has power of attorney, if another bank that you have an account at, they tell you they're going to close it, you can move money either from an investment company that you have or to another account. Do not get financial penalties, as some of your investments may be forced to close. So you want to have, options to move money around without getting these penalties. Possible felon-friendly banks. Now, you want to check these first because when I looked, some of them, were available. They may or may not be available now. For example, BMOUS, this link used to work. I had to remove it. They may be available, maybe not. Bluevine, this link still works. SoFi, yes. Choice Bank, Vanguard, mutual funds, IRAs, ETFs, 401k, credit unions, Capital One secured card, and Best. And then there's Best credit card funding, credit cards. You just maybe want to Google that and see what comes up. Disclaimer: please verify that these will not close your accounts before you move your funds to these institutions. In other words, at the time of when I was doing this, researching this was in May of 2024, things may have changed. Case managers, first of all, they don't want to hear everybody complaining to them all the time. These are people that go to work every day. They have a job to do. And they're also looking to see for personal, growth and development in everybody who's taking these programs. But they also, if they can see a star pupil, of all the inmates or adults in custody under their purview, you make them look better. So, but you want to keep your own records of everything that you're doing in your conversations with with all Bureau of Prison staff. It's kind of like paying for your own insurance. In other words, we all have insurance. It's life insurance, health insurance, auto insurance. You're going skiing and you break your legs. Well, you paid for insurance. You maybe didn't want it, but if you break your leg, you want to have an emergency and you have it. Well, the Bureau of Prisons, they're going to provide, documentation that you took all these first step out programs or classes until maybe they make a mistake, which they're doing quite frequently. And so you should document everything that you're doing there that comes under the category of constructive activities, albeit if you're taking whatever programs that is being recommended for you to take under the first step back programs, you want to make sure every day, date, and time that you show up for class, who taught it, something that you've learned, find something, write it down. And it should be organized. You can get some sort of notebook journal from Amazon. I have something that I've put together. I haven't had time to actually turn it into Amazon. These things are cheap, $5, and for several hundred pages, and just have everything organized. When you have a meeting, even no matter how innocent it is with a BOP correction staff, write it down, because you're not going to, if they want you to do something or or you have a problem, you want to make sure that you note everything from that conversation. And there's something you need to do, make sure that you document. And then when you do it, document that too. Reading books. I hope if you're not a reader, become a reader. First of all, when you're reading something, it'll take your mind outside of the prison experience. Amazon is well known by most BOP, Bureau of Prison employees. They sell cheap paperback journals, I just talked about. And wherever you may have an interest, art, history, famous people, banking, real estate, painting, drawing, anything. You want to journal, you want to start a routine. We've all had a routine, no matter how much you think you don't. Before we got in trouble, we got up, you went to school, you came home, you played, you got to talk to friends, you went to work, you got up in the morning, fed your kids, they went to school, you went to work. If you were a drug dealer, you got up in the morning, you went to the bathroom, you went and sold drugs, you came back. We all had a routine every day. You need to establish a routine, and the routine that will keep you out of trouble. And so whatever you may have an interest, art, history, famous people, banking, real estate, painting, drawing, anything, start reading. Have people send you books if you have friends, family, relatives, and kind of divide up those topics among different people. And if people can send you 2 books a month divided among a multiples of different people, so that one person is not left sending you everything, and then write down what you've learned from each of the different books that you're reading. If you're educated to the max, you're a PhD, rocket scientist, doctor, lawyer, consider teaching a class to inspire those around you. Reputation management. There are companies that you can go ahead and you pay to get your negative information off the front page of Google. Well, I did that for a lot of money, and guess what? It doesn't. I mean, it works, but it doesn't stay. It doesn't stay down. It just creeps back up to the front page. What you can do is get a domain name, buy your name as a domain name, and once you own it, you can then start taking everything that you're writing, journaling, and then send it home either through email, through I forget what it's called, right? Through the BOP, or write it and send it home, and then someone else can begin to take your journal and begin to put it online, and it can then begin to fill out what you're doing, and it creates a bit of context for, if you will, your own profile, your own brand, who you are. Substack is one that does that, and it's pretty much free. Once you enter the Bureau of Prisons, this is another planet. Frustration, disappointment, it's going to be expected, and it's going to test you to your core. Please don't vent your frustration on your unit team case managers, because it's going to worsen things for yourself. This period is going to be temporary for you, but for the BOP staff, this is their job. They're going to be there every day, and they've heard every complaint. Just try and stay under the radar and don't get a reputation of being a complainer. When you first arrive, as soon as you can, get to a computer and take it's your assessment survey, your Spark 13 assessment survey questions. You can, because if you don't, you may still be offered First Step Act programs to take, but if you don't take that survey, you're just not going to get credit for any of those programs you take. Cancel all subscriptions unless somebody else is going to be paying those fees. Credit cards. You may be able to either card lock. This explains the link to what it does and how to use it. Credit card companies call this feature different names, lock or freeze. And to initiate or cancel an immediate lock, use your card issuer's mobile app login. You want to see if you have credit cards, you either cancel them or make sure someone's going to use the card and pay the monthly fee, or if it's free, just call the company and see if they can lock it as long as your sentence is. New charge cash advantages when you're locking your card. Just want to make sure that they're not going to turn your card off. Many issuers have this feature. In recent years, check yours. Here's a sampling: American Express, Barclays Secure Hold, Capital One, Chase Lock Unlock, Citi Quick Card, Discover, Freeze It, etc. If you're not sure of what to do first, call me. It's free, or that of a loved one. This is my own personal cell. I return all my own calls. What you can bring with you: wedding brand, Bible, religious necklace, anything under $100, no stones. Bring verification if you had all your flu and COVID vaccine shots or boosters. Prescriptions for any medical devices, medications, you can bring 1 to 3 weeks. At worst, they'll be thrown out. At best, they may be available for your use. When surrendering on weekends or holidays, the BOP may allow these to be used. If not, from their on-site they'll be from their on-site pharmacy. Now, if during your screening, the guards just goes to throw them in the trash, respectfully ask them if they would please just send them to the pharmacy or medical and allow them to decide whether to throw them out or not. All these are YouTubes that you'll be able to go ahead and look at these videos on your own. Medical devices and glasses that are not made with metal are allowed. It should be also, all of these should be referenced in your pre-sentence report. ID, copies of birth certificate, passport, driver's license, social security card, copies of originals. If you're bringing originals, it just depends how long your sentence is and whether. If you're bringing copies, you need to know and document somewhere at home who has the originals and where they are. Money, cash may or may not be allowed. You can try and bring in $320 or $370 November and December. Otherwise, if they don't let it in, just know that MoneyGram or Western Union these funds can be deposited within hours. You'll have the money. Legal papers, not your pre-sentence report. They will not let that in. But your medical file and personal contact list, they can come in an envelope labeled legal papers. And a list of personal names, including phone numbers and addresses, typed on the back of the envelope from back of a page from your court case. And again, put in an envelope labeled legal paperwork when you self-surrender. Schedule a list of books you'd like to read, start being sent 2 at a time or two at a time per month before your arrival. And then just lasting 2 per month for your number of months that you plan on being incarcerated. And then spread out so that if you're going to be 10 months and 10 people between relatives and friends, so there's 10 people, each sends 2 books. 1 month each. Don't arrive at lunchtime. If you're going to a satellite camp, you want to present to the higher security facility if you expect to go to the satellite camp. Sometimes when you're going to a prison, especially in that's very rural, speeding is sometimes understood at 3 miles an hour over the limit. So just, for your information, then you want to arrive early. What happens when you surrender? Learn what prison you've been designated to, and then make sure they're expecting you. Call. Make sure that they know you're coming. I mean, there's been people that I've worked with that they call the prison and they have no idea that you're coming. If it's a satellite camp, make sure you go to the higher security facility. But the higher security may house violent individuals. You will not be interacting with them. You will interact with the staff as they deal with violent persons at the higher security facility. So when you're at a satellite camp, the staff sometimes will rotate through the higher security facility. And so the point I'm trying to make here is that this creates an atmosphere at times that is more that is not as that is not as, I guess, free, or it's more tense than the environment at a freestanding camp. But if it's your first time and you're going to a satellite facility, you're not going to know the difference. When I was at a freestanding camp, there was no razor wire, very few, lockdowns. When I was at the satellite camp, there was razor wire and lockdowns all the time. Again, the copies, social security card, prescription medications, medical, everything, we've been through that already. If you've had a court order penalty, restitution paid in full, bring proof that you're from the court saying that it's been paid in full. If you do not have proof, you want to contact your attorney right away and get that proof before you surrender. Because if you don't have proof, then nobody at the prison is going to believe you. Again, sending money order, Western Union is maxed at around $500, I believe. MoneyGram is $300 max. And Bureau of Prisons has a lockbox that you can send any amount. Wedding band, religious necklace, no stones, $100 max. Release plan, a phone contact list, no color, not double, no, you can't have anything in color sent to you. No, nothing double-sided. Bring it saying that you read online that this was important. I wanted to give it to my case manager. You're bringing this with you. You're going to have it in an envelope. It's going to be not double-sided, not on both sides of the page. It's not in color, black and white. And if you get challenged, if they open up the envelope, it says legal mail, you're going to say that, and you have your release plan with you, you're going to say that you read it online, that it's important to have a release plan, and you're going to say that that's why you brought it, that you understand that your case manager will want to see it. As soon as they're released is after you've served at least 25% of your time. Your first case manager meeting is within 30 days, supposedly. If you go into a satellite minimum camp after being screened and boxing your clothes to be sent home, expect to be put in an isolation cell. This could take hours to days for various reasons. Don't be surprised. If you've already set up books on a schedule to be sent to you, you may start getting them tomorrow. And these are just some other things. I hope you have found this helpful. And please don't be, completely upset. This gentleman, he went from juvie to jail to Harvard. It's not the end of your life. If you worked at a prison, this is your life. I hope you have a good day, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Have a good day.